Good morning. Welcome everyone to the public hearing for updated rules and regulations on the High Performance Existing Buildings Program, otherwise called Energize Denver, which can be found in the Denver Revised Municipal Code, Chapter 10, Article 14. My name is Liz Babcock, and I'm the Executive Director for the Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency. Thank you for joining us, and I will turn it over to my colleague Sharon Jay to run the hearing.
Again, welcome everyone. My name is Sharon Jay. I lead the team that is implementing the benchmarking and performance requirements section of the Energize Denver Ordinance. Our whole team is online today and wanted to introduce them briefly. We've got Berenice, Daniel, Derek, Tom, Matt, and Mike, and additional folks from our help desk. We also have in attendance Kristen Brainerd and Adam Hernandez from our attorney's office. This hearing is the culmination of intense stakeholder engagement over the past 6 months to improve the Energize Denver program. The team would like to extend our gratitude to more than 2,000 stakeholders who engaged in online feedback sessions, focus groups, and one-on-one meetings. And my thanks to my team and the folks behind the scenes that supported us in these efforts to improve our program. Next slide. So our agenda today, we're going to talk briefly about session setup. Then we're going to go through an overview of the changes. We have two very small proposed amendments that we would like to propose to Liz. We'll have a public comment round where everyone is allowed 3 minutes of public comment. And then we'll go through the adoptions of the rules process and then talk about next steps. So our session setup for today, the hearing is being recorded. The slides and recording will be posted on the Rules and Technical Guidance webpage later this week, probably. We will have the actual rules and technical guidance final documents posted probably later today or tomorrow at the latest on that page. All participants are muted. You can sign up for the public comment section by adding your name to the Q&A box. Each person will have 3 minutes to state their public comment. We will not have a Q&A session during the hearing. So Energize Denver is a building performance policy that plays a pivotal role in reaching the city's goal of eliminating emissions by 2040. So the Energize Denver policy is energy efficiency requirements. The policy requires each building to meet a certain level of energy use through operations and equipment improvements to a building, and it's in 2 building size categories. So for our buildings between 5 and just under 25,000 square feet, they must upgrade their lighting to LED or install solar to meet 20% of their usage. They also have some other alternate compliance options. For buildings 25,000 square feet and larger, they must meet certain levels of energy efficiency based on building type by 2032. So Energize Denver building performance policy is not an electrification requirement. Buildings are not required to electrify to be in compliance with the policy. It's not a mandate to replace HVAC systems. Replacing space and water heating systems before the end of system life is not required. We have alternate compliance options to be able to take care of that. It's not a 30% reduction requirement for every building. The ordinance's overarching goal is a 30% reduction in energy use across all covered buildings, but each building's target is unique. So the city's goal is to work alongside Denver's building owners, property managers, and service providers to make reducing energy use practical and achievable. Every building is different, and compliance cannot be one size fits all. So now I'm going to go through the actual updates that we did into the rules and the technical guidance. We added a blurb at the beginning of the rules that talks about our technical guidance document. We maintain a technical guidance document that accompanies these rules and regulations governing the requirements. If a change to the technical guidance would affect a compliance pathway, we will substantially follow the notification and public hearing procedures to allow public comment and input on those proposed changes. So if the technical guidance is updates, changes are adopted when the document is posted on our website. So we made several changes in the rules about how the buildings can get the right target. We put a cap where no building is required to reduce energy use by more than 42%. We added a credit for adaptive reuse, which this is retroactive and for future projects. Specific energy uses can be excluded from benchmarking, such as heated swimming pools, EV charging stations, data centers, etc. A tenant unit can now be benchmarked and assigned its own target only if it does not share any energy using equipment or utility counts with the whole building. We added that data verification of the benchmarking report is required once in the next 2 benchmarking seasons. Originally, it was going to be due in 2025 anyways, but we're going to make it a requirement across the board. We also raised the floor energy efficiency target for manufacturing, agricultural, and industrial buildings. It went from a 30 to a 52.9. So we added some other things around target adjustments and incentives. For customized target, we refined the target adjustment for historical and unique buildings. We created the ability to adjust a building's energy efficiency target based on a minimum number of energy efficiency measures identified from an advanced energy audit. We added a new incentive for decarbonized network. So if buildings are connected to a non-emitting thermal energy network, then you would have your energy target adjusted. We also expanded the renewable credit options. Offsite solar investments can now be located anywhere in Colorado. It was previously limited to Denver. And on or offsite renewables that are owned by the building owner within the city and county of Denver now count as a 1.5 credit multiplier instead of 1-to-1. So for our alternate compliance options, we extended our compliance deadlines. Building owners will now have an opportunity to opt into a timeline extension that shifts the first interim target to 2028. It would eliminate the 2027 target and shifts the 2030 target back to 2032. This would be done by benchmarking your building this year and having an approved benchmarking report. We also added an alternate compliance option for residential condominiums that need more time to fundraise for improvements. We removed the electrification alternate compliance option. We just kind of embedded it into the timeline adjustment. And then we adjusted the 30% reduction property type adjustment option. It was changed from an alternate compliance option to a customized target adjustment. So we added ideas or reasons for more time and split them into 2 different segments. We have one segment that is a short-term interim compliance hold that will allow you a 2-year hold on any of the performance requirements. You'd still have to benchmark, but it would put a hold on the performance requirements for 2 years and is extendable. And you can do that for qualifying financial distress, financial solvency concerns, vacancy rates that cause a financial solvency concern, lease terminations, if you're in a redevelopment area, demolition of the building, adaptive reuse project timing, change of building ownership, natural and man-made disasters, benchmarking exemptions for a particular year, delays in landmark preservation commission review, or other reasons would be considered on a case-by-case basis. And then we adjusted our timeline adjustment to for a long-term timeline extensions. We adjusted the requirements for end of HVAC system service life, for energy service capacity limitations, for the downtown steam loop system infrastructure planning, for major renovations, or for innovative approaches, and we allow other reasons on a case-by-case basis. We also simplified processes for buildings that are under 25,000 square feet. So if you're already in compliance with LEDs, self-verification is now allowed for building owners that are already in compliance with the LED lighting requirements and do not need to make lighting upgrades. We simplified the process for a timeline extension. For energy tracking, if you use the alternate compliance option or renewables option, we added a simplified process for calculating a building's annual energy use. And then if you choose the alternate compliance option for a 15% energy use reduction, we streamlined what you need to do for that particular thing when it comes to energy tracking. So in disclosure upon sale, we created a compliance status letter process to make disclosure of the building's Energize Denver status easier. This is where you would actually request a compliance status letter, and we would, in a letter, state all of the information that we have about that building. And we also required the transfer of the Energy Star portfolio manager account to the buyer. So we wanted to pivot away from penalties. We codified the enforcement process in the rules to allow owners a last chance to submit a timeline extension request before assessing penalties, as you could see by the chart in the right-hand corner. Penalties for buildings 25,000 square feet and larger have been cut in half by re-examining what's included in the cost of compliance. We added a final corrective action opportunity to make penalties a last resort, and we added a more robust appeals process. So now is your last chance to sign up for public comment. I only have a couple more slides. So enter your name into the Q&A box if you would like the 3 minutes to be able to give your public comment during the hearing. So we have a couple of amendments that we'd like to propose to Liz to add to the rules document. Let's go to the first one. So in rule 4.5.D2A3, under custom target eligibility, the statement said the covered building must be an individual building, not a campus. And we want to refine that because we have a couple of different types of campuses in our program. So we want to change that to the covered building must be an individual building that is benchmarked separately or a group of adjacent buildings that are covered by one building ID and are benchmarked as one building due to shared utility meters. This would not cover a campus that would turn in a energy audit as a strategic energy management plan. And then let's go to the next one. So under timeline exemption for rule 4.7.E, this is about when submitting the benchmarking data in the 2025 reporting year, owners will have an option to request and receive a timeline adjustment for any covered building experiencing compliance challenges. The adjustment will shift the 2024 target to 28, limit the 2027 target, and shift the 2030 target to 2032. We needed to add in the words when submitting benchmarking data or the exemption request, because this timeline extension is triggered when the building has an approved benchmarking report for the year. And for buildings that turn in an exemption request and are approved, an exemption for benchmarking this year are considered in compliance. So we want them to have the timeline extension also. Okay, so now we're going to start the public comment section. So Matt is going to call folks up. So folks be ready. I think it's in order of what's in the Q&A, and then Derek is going to manage the timer as we're going along, and I'll turn it over to Matt.
Thank you, Sharon. And we do have a couple of folks who have volunteered to comment. First up, we have James Bettis, and just a reminder, you can see the timer there. Everyone does have 3 full minutes for their public commentary, and I will unmute James presently.
Thank you, Matt. Am I unmuted?
Yep, you're all set, James. By all means, proceed.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for holding this time for feedback and your explanations of the proposed changes. I appreciate all the other feedback time periods you guys have held. I've attended a few of them. I do represent a large building downtown. I'm part of the HOA, and I'm on the board with that. And we have supported the spirit of the Energize Denver mandate. Of course, if we can be more efficient in our energy use and support green energy alternatives at a reasonable or cheaper cost, that would be amazing. And I certainly, above all else, appreciate the recent integration of feedback from the various Denver property owners. I think a lot of these changes are really, really great and shows the feedback's being listened to. But as a community, the more and more we get more into this mandate, and we got closer to the fine time period, and now that's been pushed back, really we're starting to see a lot more pushback against wanting to support green energy initiatives, and the idea of promoting efficiencies is wonderful. But as an owner, and all the other people in our building as owners of a multifamily resident area, the targeted changes punishing multifamily owners over single family owners is why we are starting to really kind of not support this mandate. We feel it's an unfair enforcement towards multifamily owners that single family owners don't have to comply with. And even in the sales agreements where you have to have this compliance of showing where your marking is, it just creates an unfair market for those of us that decided to buy in condos throughout the Denver area and share our resources and live in this shared space. And now we're being punished for it in a way that is unfair. If it was being forced on all homeowners in Denver, that would be excellent. But I don't appreciate the targeted approach towards just those of us that have chosen to live in multifamily homes. And I think at a time when housing costs in Denver are at a crisis point, I think this is not something that works well for multifamily owners. It makes it harder. Getting these things into condos is extremely expensive, some of these things. So I do appreciate the recognition on the fines being reduced, and working with homeowners and not replacing equipment that doesn't need to be replaced. But there's still really unfair, enforcement on just one type of housing. And I think as more and more people are moving into condos, there's going to be more and more pushback on this type of enforcement until it's put across the board or not done at all. So I just want to say thank you for your time again. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, James. And remaining in the hands up for public commentary are Mark Chilson. Mark, we're going to unmute you rather presently, and I will just make sure that we can hear you.
Hello, my name is Mark Chilson. Can you hear me?
We do have you, Mark. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks so much for letting me comment on this Energize Denver. I did choose to be a member of a condominium association, and I likewise, reflecting what the prior speaker said, will be punished now because I chose to share resources with others just at a time when Colorado's housing is reaching crisis levels for affordability, and just when we seem to be inventing new ways to prevent condominium type product to hit the market. We're now being subjected to the Energize Denver restrictions on these buildings. We're going to, in our Park Mayfair in South Park Hill, North Hilltop area, we're going to be subject to having to replace a boiler ahead of schedule. It's going to cost us $1 million. We cannot afford that. And are you looking now at your remedies? The remedies Energize Denver has in place now is placing a lien. That means you're going to have the rights of sale. You're going to be able to lien our building and then sell it for non-compliance because we've chosen to share resources in a more affordable way in a fashion that presumably many of us had to do for budgetary needs. So as well, we are facing arbitrary needs to only be able to replace wall units with certain types of air compressors, or heat pumps, which don't get the job done. I am highly distressed. This is appropriation. To call this socialist is not even adequate. This is appropriation of the property rights of Denver homeowners. I now am quickly going to regret ever having purchased property, real property inside of the city and county of Denver. This very well may force me to move out of the city and county of Denver because I can't have my real property rights subject to lien over an energized Denver product and program. Thank you for your attention and time.
Thanks very much, Mark. Sharon, that does account for everyone who is in and has signed up for the public commentary at this point. So I'll turn it back over to you and Liz.
Thank you. Adoption of rules. So we're going to turn this over to Liz to make a determination if she is going to adopt our rules.
Thank you, Sharon. And jump in if I miss anything, because I know we're adopting those amendments that you proposed earlier. So just jump in if there's anything that I'm missing as I go through my comments here with the adoption of the rules. So first, just want to say thank you very much to our Energize Denver team, to the city attorney's office, and all of our stakeholders for the tremendous amount of time and effort that you have put into these improvements reflected in this rule update. I know it's been a really intensive process over the last 6 to 8 months, and we're just very, very grateful for everyone's time and expertise in helping us shape the rules so that they are more achievable and practical for building owners and property managers and service providers throughout the city of Denver. We know that these rules are a critical part of how we're going to be effective in achieving our goals around energy efficiency and our climate goals, which are so, so important to the people of Denver. We have heard today proposed revisions to the rules text as published on March 11th, and 3 proposed amendments during the hearing. So with the authority granted through the Denver Revised Municipal Code, Chapter 10, Article 14, I hereby approve these rules and regulations as amended in today's hearing. And I will give it back to Sharon to close us out.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, next steps. We'll talk about what's happening after this. So our timeline over the next couple of months, we have a few things to stand up within the program. We're going to send either later today or tomorrow an official notice of the updated rules will be sent out to all of the contacts that we have on file for the buildings. We're going to be adding some service provider training opportunities and open them up to the public. We just have to get them scheduled. We will send out our annual notice to comply letters later in the month. We're shooting for a 3rd week of April to send those out. And we're going to update the website around that same time. We will be updating the rules and regulations page today, but we have to update every single other page in our program. And that will take us just a little bit of time to do that. So in May, our benchmarking season this year starts May 1st, and we've extended it to September 1st. On that day is when our new building management portal and benchmarking process will debut, but we'll send you more information about that on April 21st so you can get prepped. And we're also going to launch more training and focused webinars. We may be doing a lot of webinars based on property type. Next slide. So just to reiterate, benchmarking is due. It's May 1st through September 1st. We have a new checklist to double check your benchmarking data in our technical guidance, and I would encourage everyone to look at it just to make sure that you are benchmarking well and have the right target. To help enable that, we have added that third-party data verification is required at least once in the next 2 years. So you could either do this reporting year and get it over with, or you could do next reporting year. Or if you've already received a target adjustment, the data verification requirement is already satisfied. The MAI application is now due December 31st at the end of the year. The default target for manufacturing, agricultural, and industrial buildings is the 30% EUI reduction on the performance pathway, which is from a calendar year 2022 baseline. By April 21st, the MAI buildings targets will be updated to reflect this default target. The application is only necessary if you want to change your pathway or metric away from that 30% reduction on a performance pathway, or if you need to request a different baseline. So technical support, a lot of this is available now. Some of it will be launching over the next couple of months. Our building management portal does launch May 1st, where it's going to be a centralized platform for managing compliance, tracking progress, and accessing resources. You will also have the ability to add your service provider to your account if they help you manage your compliance. We offer one-on-one coaching services, so we expanded support capacity and personalized consultations for building owners to develop tailored compliance strategies. We are enhancing our contractor and service provider trainings. We added those compliance status reports, so we are refining that over the next month or so with a couple of different building associations to make sure that that compliance status report for disclosure to a new building owner is what it needs to be. We offer now a free online energy management tool that could offer a virtual ASHRAE Level 1 energy assessment. It also has project planning tools and a resource library. So if you're interested in getting that free tool, just talk to our help desk. And on financial assistance, we are adding a few energy audit rebates and rebates for energy management training for staff in your buildings. And then we will be building out additional financial coaching on how to find low interest loans, grants, and other funding sources like rebates and incentives. So for our Equity Priority Buildings Compliance Assistance Program, this is if you want to scan the QR code, if you think you might qualify for the program. This is for nonprofits, human service providers, low-income, multifamily. They would qualify for hand-holding along the whole entire compliance journey. So you would get a free ASHRAE Level 2 energy audit, benchmarking support and data submission help, a customized compliance roadmap, technical assistance for target adjustments, connections to grants, rebates, and incentives, one-on-one coaching and office hours, and support with contractor bids and financial coaching. So even if you think you might be eligible for this, please go ahead and check out and have a conversation with our help desk. So I just want to reiterate our commitment to collaboration. We want to provide improved clarity on compliance steps. So a lot of our collateral and communications will be changing in the next couple of months and offering streamlined communications. We want to provide assistance for businesses navigating the policy, trainings and connections to qualified contractors, and we'll be building out a dedicated business hub and compliance portal. So thank you for attending today. This is how you can get a hold of our Energize Denver help desk by phone, signing up for a phone appointment, and we have an email for large buildings and email for smaller buildings. You can visit our website and subscribe to our newsletter. Our newsletter is one of the best ways to keep up with what's going on in the program and when we have trainings. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and the public hearing is now closed. Thank you very much.